This is Courtney Gaines, Malachi from Children of the Corn. You're listening to the listening to the Timo and Harley Show. All right.
Welcome to the Timo and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Timo and Harley Show. I am Timo. Over there is my partner in Mindcrime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben here in my home, Harley?
Yes, right here in the Raven's Nest.
Jesus, you sound bassy.
I know.
You've got you have mid-range and bass finally. It's not all tin.
Me. Yes, yes.
Mr. Ben Harley.
My mellow tones are even more mellow. Yes.
Mr. Ben Harley is in studio, and we have also our third wheel in Mindcrime from the films Evil Dead 2, Darkman, and Maniac Cop, which we'll be talking about here in a little bit. Mr.
Intruder.
Danny Hicks. Say hello, Mr. Danny Hicks.
Hello, Mr. Danny Hicks.
Danny.
Hey, guys, you know what? This is, I think, the first time we've ever done this show with all three of us in the same room.
It might be. If we did, it was only once.
Yeah.
One time, I think.
You know what I like about this, Tim? Usually when we're doing this show, I can hear Harley, but I can't really see him. And he's such a sneaky bastard. I always think he's creeping up behind me.
Yeah.
You know? So whenever I just, what do you, no, that's not, I keep looking for him because he is a sneaky bastard.
He is sneaky, that guy.
Yeah, that's why I got you guys sitting behind me. I don't want to know what you're doing. I don't want to know
all the way down
sneakiness.
from Toledo.
We are both heavily armed.
Yeah. Well, you do got some big guns. I will say that. So we, yes, everyone is in town. Episode number 401. We almost hit the number 400.
Yeah.
With everybody being here.
That would have been great.
We could have recorded them backwards.
Yeah,
and done that,
we are
but
on the space-time continuum.
It's confusing enough.
Yeah.
It's already confusing enough. So you guys were in town because, well, first of all, I wanted you guys to see Dermal Ridge, the new house of Ben Harley.
Fantastic. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been looking for a gardening job, and I think I just found one. So I might be sticking around. No, yes, it's beautiful here, Timo. Lovely.
You'll be the legend gardener somewhere out in the forest.
Yeah.
I promise I'll wear my shirt.
Dermal Ridge, most people don't know this, but it has a secret room.
Yes.
It's not so secret now, but because I just told everybody about it. But it is so cool. It is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
What's funny is when I show people the house, even if they know about the secret room, and I've told them about it ad nauseum about how cool it is, no one's remembered it.
Yeah.
No,
I remembered it. I just couldn't find it.
Right.
I walked right by the door a couple times. I didn't know it was there.
It's there.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother little living area, and we have watched some television back there.
Yes, we have.
So it's been fun, and then we have seen some nature. Now I've been constantly letting everyone know and say, I saw a bobcat. Look at my bobcat. Check it out. Everybody, bobcat. I'm a bobcat. Yeah. I might buy a bobcat, learn how to drive one, just to be kind of fun. But we've seen, let's see here. Last night, let's start off with this. Last night, we saw, what was it, Danny? What was the moth we saw last night?
A Luna moth.
Luna moth, yes.
The largest moth in North America.
And he was sitting right next to our door to get in, which made Angio extremely happy.
Yeah, she was ready to start climbing stuff.
Yeah, she was ready to move.
Yeah.
It had a couple little Japanese women with it, too, as well, singing to it.
Singing Mothra. It did look like a Mothra, actually.
It was gigantic.
Yeah. At first, you were like, that moth can't beat up Godzilla. And you're like, whoa. I don't know. Maybe it could. So, and then let's see. Last night, me and Mr. Ben Harley, I was out taking some trash out. And what did I hear? But
It wasn't me.
It wasn't you, not this time. And there was turkeys. We had some wild turkeys out there.
Yeah, I still think it was just the movies we were going to watch.
But we heard them. We didn't see them. Yeah. But we heard. I know they were right down the hill over there. We didn't see them, but I heard a lot. They were close and loud, and so that was fun. And then you did hear the chorus of coyotes.
Yes. Yeah, I thought I was in episode of Werewolf, the television show, or The Howling or something.
tried to run away from.
Or the pack was coming to get me. And so
They were, Ben. I headed them off. So
Yeah.
I saved
Thank
you. You
you.
don't even know it.
Well, I know there was 2 giant turkeys out there for a minute. And
Yeah.
Timon Harley. So, Danny, thank you for saving us.
Once again, back to the movies.
Yeah, right.
So we've had fun, nature, and lots of outside, lots of
yeah.
fire burning.
Yes.
Burned a lot of fires.
Yep.
We're kind of hickory smoked.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, we charged some meat last night.
We
Timo
did.
made a lovely dinner for us all. Yeah.
Yummy. That was very, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Some good Midwest pork steak.
What he lacks in looks, he makes up in for cooking.
That's right. That's why my cooking's so damn good.
Wait a minute. And he can cook?
He can cook.
So let's see here. And so we've had fun. And
Yeah.
the main reason, not the reason, but the MacGuffin of the weekend, the reason that we had you guys in is that my band that I'm playing in, Ultraman,
Yes.
played with the Dead Kennedys and TSOL
Yeah.
this past a couple days ago, and that went well.
Yes.
It went very well.
It's a great crowd and, great bands. And it was my first time getting to see Timo play live, so I enjoyed that thoroughly. I didn't boo or hiss or nothing. And no, they were fantastic. You guys were great. Ultraman really kicked that show. I mean, you guys, there was a band before you, but I still think that Ultraman was the kickstart of that show and probably the tightest group out there as far as I'm concerned.
I definitely think so. You guys put Dead Kennedys to shame.
Well, it felt well. I appreciate that. I do, and it felt good. I thought it was a real good night of punk rock. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was classic punk rock.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And Ultraman is a little heavier, more hardcore, but just coming out of those punk rock days. So there's more melody, so it fit pretty well. But it wasn't an evening of complete shrieking.
No.
No, a little action in the mosh pit got a little crazy there for a while, but hey, punks, a bunch of punks.
I think you guys were protecting my wife.
We were.
Yeah.
I was running around trying to get in the office and hide and listen to Bob Fancher fart jokes, and you guys are protecting my wife from suspender wearing maniacs.
Oh yeah.
But
Everywhere you go.
It's the punks that killed punk rock.
that's right.
Yeah.
So Ben Harley finally got to meet Bob Fancher and the rest of Ultraman and Tim Jameson. So he got to
We got to hang out with Rob Wagner.
Rob Wagner.
Rob was in fact, Rob saved the day.
Yeah.
Now, this is above and beyond the call. The man actually crawled up onto the stage, all the way across the stage, and put his body right up against the kick drum for one entire song, which I'm surprised when he came off, his ears should have been bleeding.
Yeah.
And I don't pay attention to and I don't mean no disrespect by this, right? I just don't. I kind of zone out when I'm playing and focusing on what I'm doing.
You're focusing on the rock and roll.
A little bit, and I do try to pay attention to the other guys on stage a little bit with me, but I don't really know what's going on in the audience very much. And plus, lights are shooting right in your eyes.
Yeah.
So you can only see even there at Food Bar, about 10 people deep and understand what you're seeing. You can see things, but it's hard to understand. But I did not expect Rob to be crawling across the stage. I'm looking down going, Rob, first of all, we already talked to you. You can come up on stage, but this is the first song.
That's what I thought. I thought I missed a whole section of the show. Like, Egg Boy's not yet, is he? But yes, he threw his life in front of it wasn't
Bill
quite,
kick drum.
Yeah. He risked his life for rock and roll.
Those damn kick drums, you got to watch them carefully because if they see a chance, they'll make a break for it.
Oh, God, yeah.
They will.
And you ain't kidding.
No.
They really will. It wouldn't be the first time I've seen a cinder block sit in front of one.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, our Fragile Porcelain Mice's old drummer used to have two empty nitrous tanks on either side. Looked like he was trying to do a sequel of Jaws. He literally looked like he could float. His drumstick could float. So, yeah, there becomes issues. But that was it was fun.
No, it was a lot of
Rob
fun.
actually, since he was there and everything, I had him come up play Egg Boy, the very last song.
Yeah.
And I talk him into it a little bit, too. And I'm like, Rob, come on. I'm playing the rest of the show. Like, I know ego on this.
Well, seeing as how he was there and he wrote the damn song. I
agree.
Yeah.
Especially he also sent me the cover of the album that song was recorded on. That, and of course, my all-time favorite punk song now, Yipes! Get away, get away, get away. He also wrote that.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And that was one of my favorite Ultraman songs.
I still got that song in my head and I can't get rid of it.
Yeah, no, it was really good to see Rob and get to hang out with him too.
Yeah, it was.
And a
He's
lot
a
of
good guy.
fun. Oh yeah, it was a blast. I think I put him on the spot a little bit about some movies. We had a little movie talk.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll talk to you about movies a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, I tried to get him to name some of his favorites, and I think
there
I
you
almost
go.
short-circuited him.
We had Mark Denizak, the drummer. When I used to go see Ultraman when I started, he was the drummer the entire time that I saw Ultraman live. So it was nice to be on stage and play with him. He was filling in because our drummer Gabe, that asshole, thought it was more important to take a romantic vacation to Mexico with his wife.
Yeah.
With his beautiful wife?
That man
Instead of being in like punk rock land and playing these songs, what is he, high?
With a bunch of
man has
sweaty
got
dudes.
to learn to suffer for his art.
That's right. That's right. He's looking at us right now going, I'm on the beach with my wife. She's wearing bikinis. I'm wearing bikinis. We're happy. And we are high. Thank you. So, but Miss Gabe, but I was glad to see that Mark came and played. And he killed it. He did real good.
He did a very good job.
Yeah.
Everybody did. It was a very great show. And in fact, I'm very fortunate. I got to see you in Springfield with Fragile Porcelain Mice.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
The week before.
And I got
Danny. I did. I was on tour with them. They wouldn't even let me carry any of the shit. I just walked around saying, "Hey, I'm with the band." And I didn't even have to carry stuff. They let me in for free and everything. In fact, I even got a free drink.
Oh, yeah.
That was cool.
And something very cool that Danny probably doesn't even, it's not on his radar, but I think me and Harley will give Danny some props here because we were in the office of the night of the Dead Kennedy show, and there was a couple people talking to us, and Danny handed Bob Fancher a couple of autographed pictures because Bob was looking for his, and he's like, the picture's right over there. What the hell? And all the Danny Hicks, but and then he remembered he took them home. So Danny's like, well, I'll give you some more pictures so you can have them where you would like them. And he was handing them to Bob. And the drummer of TSOL was like, whoa, hold on. What's this? Who's this guy here? What's this? What's going on right now? And so Danny was actually fanboyed over by the drummer of TSOL, who, as soon as that drummer walked out into the punk rock crowd, he was probably getting fanboyed on. So there was layers of fanboyness going on, but Danny did get recognized a few times that night by some people.
A few times. Most of them said, "What happened? You got so old." I said, "Well, what happened was I got so old.
Right.
You know, I couldn't do anything about it."
Father time.
Yeah, and these are guys that are being mistaken for Sasquatch asking him this. But so it was a fun time. I'm very, very glad and proud that you guys got to come and see that, because it's very difficult for me to articulate to people in the world that we all met in. We met in the horror movie world, and it just doesn't cross over. People just don't understand, they don't know. I know what Harley does. He makes T-shirts.
That's right.
He does his artwork. He makes his T-shirts. He brings them to the shows. Danny Hicks, it's obvious. He's the reason there are shows. There's movies like Evil Dead 2 and things, and we all see that. I, on the other hand, everything I've done that people have known has nothing to do with horror films. Right. Except for the fact it's been in punk rock or rock music, which there is obviously a connection, and Danny knows that all too well at this point, hanging around with me.
It's amazing how the two go hand in hand.
They do.
For some reason, punk music and horror movies, they just seem to cross right over. It must be just like a universal brain damage that takes place or something.
Well, I think a lot of those early punk bands too were horror fans and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
You had the Ramones and Danzig and Misfits singing a lot of straight up titles right out of the movies.
Right. So, I mean, I think it's an underground thing. Yeah. And I think it's also a lot of kids that might have been a little more basement dwellers who have grown up to be full-time basement dwellers. But that's why I had to build an attic. I'm an attic dweller now. I graduated, But there is a connection there. And I think that it's probably the answer to the pro wrestler question. Why do they go to horror shows? Yeah. Well, you're watching things that are in the mainstream but aren't on the news. They're not the mainstream. Wrestling has always touched the mainstream, but never really got there. In horror films, there's just a lot of people that are afraid to make horror films.
Yeah.
Very mainstream. But anyway, there's definitely, I think, an attraction by a similar type of person to punk rock and to horror films and things like that. So, and I lived it.
They're both kick ass.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Yeah, but I lived it and Harley lived it. We just both like similar movies and music.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm the first, and this, I make no secret of this. I am not a punk rock fan, but I got to tell you, watching you play, Tim, in both Fragile and the other one.
Ultraman.
Yeah. How can I forget that? It's just amazing. I mean, there's so much energy and so much fun that I, for a while, forget the fact that I hate punk music. I just really enjoyed it. So, thanks again.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, Timo. It was a blast to finally get to see you play live and everything, and just everybody was really nice tonight. Too.
Now that you've seen him play, are you going to go around peeking in his underwear drawer and
I
trying
think
to
so.
steal
Yeah.
shit?
Yeah. I'm gonna get some toenail clippings.
I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy.
He'll be leaving the little cards of his artwork everywhere around the house and everything. Yeah. But I'm very glad you guys get to see it. So
it was a blast.
It's fun for me just to give some kind of context because we all live so far apart from each other. And it is most difficult for me because it's really easy to show somebody a shirt at a show.
Yeah.
And say, hey, look what I do. Oh, wow. And everybody wants a T-shirt. Danny was in the movie. So that's a, strike.
Yeah, and even if they listen to the music, it is definitely not the same thing as seeing that.
It's not. But what do I do? Hand someone a CD and stand there and play it for them? You can't do it. It's
here's my headphones. Listen real quick.
right. I mean, and we're dealing with the visual. It's on the more visual side of the art form.
Yeah.
When we're at the shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not my strong point. My strong point is music and the audio. And also bitching and commenting on things that I'm not good at. So But we didn't really watch. We watched a couple of riff tracks. Me and Harley watched Uninvited.
You guys watched one more than I did.
We watched The Wonderful Land of Oz by the director of Santa Claus and the Ice Cream Bunny.
The director.
Yeah. This is when I knew Danny Hicks actually liked us, Ben.
Yeah.
When he walked out of the room before he hated us.
Well, you guys were enjoying it so much, especially Angie O was laughing her butt off. I thought, well, I can't make them stop watching this, but I can make me stop watching this. Adios. And I left. I went and stuck red hot needles in my testicles because that was far more pleasant.
Yeah.
I have to admit, it wasn't as enjoyable though as the Ice Cream Bunny because it just sat in like two different spots.
Yeah.
And it was just dialogue after dialogue and
songs.
Oh, yeah.
It was a musical.
It was awful.
It was awful, yeah. And the Riff Tracks guys did a pretty good job, but this is nothing like Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny. So I was a little disappointed in that because in Santa Claus and the Ice Cream Bunny, I get headaches laughing at that thing and tears coming down my face because they're so on point of how wrong that movie is.
Yeah.
This one, I think, took them by storm.
Yeah,
I think that they actually got bulldozed and were like, I don't know what to do with this thing.
Like the 2 minutes that I watched of it, the production quality was much higher than the Ice Cream Bunny.
Yeah.
Nonsense. So
I think he might have been trying a little harder, and this
which made it worse.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they spent more money on it. That's for sure. And
it's just awful. And some of the characters in it. What was the one guy telling you? He was a woggle bug or something?
Ooh, we don't want that guy ever around anything at all, ever. And no, that thing did not. As a matter of fact, I will admit, though, we were watching that after Danny went to bed the night before.
Yeah.
We turned it on, and it was on like 15 seconds in. Yeah. This person with these like paper mache wide eyes and a like paper mache buggy mustache thing and antenna that if you've noticed in the show, he was directed to play with that antenna.
Yeah.
Of course, since he had his eyes covered with things, you saw his hand very slowly approach the antenna as to not break it off because he had no idea where his hand was in relation to the antenna.
Yeah.
And then if you notice the pumpkin head guy, he was supposed to itch himself all the time.
Yeah.
You saw his head go, or his hand just kind of goes slow. Am I getting close to my head? I don't want to poke a hole through the paper mache.
I knew that I was going to leave very soon after the opening scene where this creature's out there. And of course it was a cow. Yeah. And it was so realistic. Ben thought it was a dragon. I said, well, okay, it's time for me to go.
It was a paper mache cow. Yeah. Purple too.
It's bad, folks. Wonderful Land of Oz. I'd stick with the Ice Cream Bunny still, I think.
I know it's a better riff track.
It is a better riff track.
Last night, that movie hurt me a little bit more than the Ice Cream Bunny, but it still had some funny moments. It's one of those that you have to see it to even.
No, you don't have to see it.
Yeah.
No.
Not Danny. No, not Danny. No,
I'm sorry.
I have to watch these things to remind myself why I don't do acid anymore.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
That's kind of why I didn't want to watch it either.
Yeah.
It's called Flashbacks.
Right.
But this guy he actually did, if I remember correctly, he did 3 movies. So there's one more out there lurking about, Tim. I'm sure you'll find it soon.
He also worked with Errol Flynn or something too, didn't he?
I don't.
You looked it up.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I thought, who is this guy?
Oh, I'm sure they'll find him.
Right.
They'll find that next movie too.
He was something I can't remember exactly, but he was like a decorated Air Force pilot during World War II, and he got shot down and captured and got away, and then came back and did it again. So.
He's the Manchurian candidate. That explains it.
Now, was that really his son in the movie too? Yes.
I believe there was a lot of names, a lot of nepotism going on in that movie too. But
it's so bizarre.
It was bizarre.
I don't know.
It was really bizarre. We also watched The Uninvited.
Yes.
That was Harley and Angie. I watched most of it with this, but that was Harley and I and her, and that was a cat puppet.
Yeah.
Attacking. Let's see, George Kennedy. They really riffed on the fact that George Kennedy was in this movie, just going, Oscar, I have an Oscar. You know? And then it was Clu Gulager in goofy teeth makeup, and Alex Cord, who doesn't, I don't know, I have no idea. It's like Britney Spears in a way. Why is Alex Cord famous?
Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea, and I didn't even know he was famous, really. You know, he's got a name, Alex Cord.
Yeah. But that one's painful too, because it's a cat with a genetically enhanced thing or like another cat that comes out of its mouth.
Oh boy!
Attacks people and then goes back inside the cat after it attacks people.
So they're all trying to figure out what happened. And somebody said, "Hey, did anybody look inside the cat's mouth?"
Yeah. Well, when it comes out of the cat's mouth, it's only about, I don't know, 4 inches or so, and then all of a sudden it's gigantic.
Huge. Yeah. They wouldn't even get a small guy to operate the puppet. It had to be a giant because it was a huge puppet. And it was, I think people had to have been walking out the theater when they get on the life raft or the lifeboat at the end. And the cat is jumping out of the water with shoulders grabbing onto the side. And then it's this big and it's snapping at the guy's face.
Yeah.
And he's pushing his face a little closer to going, ah! Ah! I love this life.
Yeah.
I really do. What a life, Ben Harley.
Exactly.
What a life. Now, Harley, you got to, we did let Harley give him a little solace.
Yeah.
We gave him some solace, gave him a little space, and you did watch the movie It.
Yes.
The new version of it. What did you think of It, Mr. Ben Harley?
I kind of liked it. I wasn't surprised by anything knowing the story and all. I only did read half the book. That was a little long. It's like 1,100 pages, and I never really finished that. So I don't know how close this newer version is to the book. But I liked it. I liked how it was shot. I liked the kids. And I'd like like you were telling me, Tim, there's wall-to-wall horror in it. There's not too much stage patter. There's a little bit, but for the most part, there's always something going on. And I didn't have a problem with the CGI much. I thought it was okay.
It was done. Too bad.
Yeah. Pennywise, I don't know. I'm not real. I don't know. He was okay. I'm going to watch it again though, and then I can really give you my best critique of it. But I'll give it probably 3 out of 4, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe 2.
You saw it too, dude.
5,
you know what?
7,
I
8.
didn't actually see it. I started watching it, and I just couldn't get past the wisecracking kid with all the put downs. I thought, you know what? This is just so cliched. I don't even want to watch it, so I gave up. So.
He's in that Stranger Things show too, and I only watched a couple episodes of that one before I tapped out, and I didn't like him either.
No.
It's almost like he looks like a kid and looks like he has some skills that you could like him in a film if he was doing the right thing.
It wasn't his acting that I did care for. It was just the dialogue. I just thought, oh God, I've seen this too many times.
I think if they would let him act a little bit more instead of just being the wisecracking guy.
Yeah.
And you're right, Dan, because that was pretty much his for the whole thing, even during times of peril.
That plus the fact that I actually, unlike you youngsters, I actually lived through the 50s.
Yeah.
So I actually experienced that put down, kind of crap that went on back in the 50s. And I didn't like it then. So I'm sure as hell not going to like it now. I mean, it's not going to make me nostalgic and homesick or anything. So it's just, oh, fuck it. I've seen this before.
It's like when we watch an 80s movie and they have the bully jock guy who's always drinking beer and up and partying, he's burping and blowing it in people's faces. Like, oh, I miss that. I really miss that.
I miss those days.
Right. The only thing you could do to those guys was lift the goodie comb out of their back pocket and run away with it. So, but
I think, I like the time period that it took place in because it's 88, 89, I think is when,
And this version is.
Yes.
Yeah. The movie version is more of the 80s.
Yes.
The book takes place in the 50s and the TV
show.
The TV movie does too. It's very similar though.
Yep.
I mean, it's real similar. That's only the cars driving by or what they're wearing, the difference really.
Yeah, they don't beat you over the head too much with it.
I do like that.
Yeah.
I do like that. I get tired of it's like this movie takes place in the 70s. There's 9 Pacers driving by. It's like, come on.
Well, they do a lot of that with the 80s. They really beat you over the head with stuff. And I was there. I remember. And a lot of it wasn't like that. At that, I mean, the point that this takes place in, I would have been in college at this time, but I still liked the time period that it was neat to see that. And I think they did a good job of not overemphasizing that.
Yeah. I thought that Stranger Things, that was one thing I thought that was okay.
Yeah.
That's not the part that bothered me. I just didn't like it. I wasn't like, I don't give a fuck what any of you kids are
Well,
doing,
with Stranger Things, they did the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break. You've already said that 47 times. We don't need to hear it one more.
I mean, I people who like television series a lot, I do understand why they like it if they're horror, but I think I'm a little old for it.
Yeah.
I think it's people a little bit younger than me that have more nostalgia for that period in the 80s. I'm more of an early 80s, 70s guy.
Yeah, I'm late 70s, early
Right.
80s.
But also Mr. Ben Harley and Mr. Danny Hicks can be in pain while listening to this. I kind of ghosted on you.
Oh, yeah.
I put in the movie Tremors, Cold Day in Hell, and then I started cooking you guys wonderful food.
Yeah.
So you'll have to forgive me for it.
Yeah, I'll forgive you because of the meal was so good. But yeah, I'm sitting here in Dermal Ridge, beautiful palatial Dermal Ridge, which for any movie buff is like Disneyland. And all the movies I have to choose from, Timo, or to watch. Yeah, Timo brings me Tremors, Cold Day in Hell to watch. I thought, is he mad at me? Did I do something this morning? I picked my shoes up. I track anything in the house.
Did he find out about me and Angie?
Yeah, I didn't grope her that much at the show.
We did try to get you on the Wonderful Land of Oz last night.
So I was lucky enough to get to watch. And now is that part 5-ish?
Oh, it's like
7, 8, 9.
Get to double digits. For
really?
All I know.
Okay.
Because we're basically in a part of the series of films where Jamie Kennedy
is back or is in it.
Is Burt Gummer's kid.
Yeah,
it's his son, and I don't mind Michael Gross, although I get a little weary of his stereo. I don't like stereotypes to begin with.
Yeah.
Like over stereotypes, they get kind of groany after a while. And his stereotype of his type of character is just like, oh. And then you get, because you have him from Family Ties, where he was the opposite guy, and he was stereotypical in that one. But then you get Jamie Kennedy, and I mean, he is type in stereo. He's just, it's ridiculous, and he's trying to be a tough guy.
Michael Gross, I can't think it was Monsterpalooza in Los Angeles, where I actually had a table next to him.
Yeah.
And that guy was hilarious. He had me just dying. He was telling stories about how he wanted Family Ties to end in a plane crash. And not immediately, afterward in a burn ward where they all passed away. That was his ideal ending for the show. And you know what? I think he's a marvelous actor. In fact, I think, Tim, he's so good at what he does that you automatically, the first time you see him in anything, you think that's all he's ever done before.
Right.
He's just a marvelous actor. He has a lot of talent.
Well, he was lucky because he had the Family Ties show.
Yeah.
And then really in the Tremors, he started another character that was completely opposite from the last one. And he's ran with it. He was also in the TV movie about that big shootout with the FBI.
FBI,
he was
yeah.
one of
Ruby
he was one of the
Ridge
bad.
thing?
No,
Yeah.
this was like a bank robbers or something
Oh,
like
really?
that.
This is a true story. It took place in Florida sometime in the 70s. I believe.
okay.
Yeah, and it was, I think 4 FBI agents were killed.
It was one of the biggest shootouts
Yeah.
with the FBI. Yeah, and that was really, really good. He's
he was
creepy
good.
in that.
He's
Really?
very creepy.
yeah. So he's a
Yeah.
very good actor. I do like him a lot.
Well, I was so surprised when he was in Tremors, the first one, and I actually was thrown off by it, but also applauded him for that because
Right.
it was a good character, and that was we talked about it. It was a kind of throwback to the
Right.
50s
Oh, yeah, it's a
monster
total
movies,
50s monster
and
movie,
it had
yeah.
a neat little concept, but I don't know. I didn't say I hate this one, but I didn't like it either. It's okay.
And it's not Michael Gross's fault. I mean,
Oh,
he's
no.
the only reason to watch it.
Right.
And it's just not worth it for that. But there was one that that took place in the Old West.
Yeah.
And it was the same town. It was in the Old West, and Michael Gross played a descendant or whatever of his characters. So
Yeah.
he was his great grandpa. So of course he was the same guy, looked exactly the same,
of
and loved
course.
guns and
Yeah.
loved whips and everything else. That. Oh no, actually, I think he was a pansy. So he was the opposite,
Oh,
and then he
okay.
turned into one
Okay.
during the movie, and it was made for TV. It was kind of fun.
Now, I've only seen the original. Is Michael Gross in every one of them?
He is in a lot of them. He
Yeah,
might not
most
be in the
of them.
second.
Oh,
one.
yeah. Okay, I remember now.
Yeah.
I think I might have seen the second one too.
And they were like, the rest of them were like,
Well, the first one was wonderful. I thought
is.
it was a great movie.
good movie.
marvelous.
Yeah.
Marvelous. I will watch it anytime.
Yeah.
It's not one of my favorite movies, but it's one of the most fun movies. It's just, it's not going to let you down.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon's great in it too.
He
You
is.
put those two together, and they just made it just magic.
Yeah.
It
And
works
then
magic.
it was just a wonderful cast.
It had a good. Well, the story was good too.
It was.
and you were scared. You're like about.
It's so believable.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, it made me not want to walk on the ground for a long time.
I'll go.
I wanted to float on air.
You get a system of pulleys and ropes from your grocery store and everything. Zip lining everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Pass me the helium.
Right.
But yeah, I did enjoy the first one a lot, and I know a little bit about
Right.
the second one, but
So we don't really have any reason to tell people to watch Tremors Cold Day in Hell, do we?
no, it's like
How much of it took place up in because it started in the Arctic, right?
yeah. And
so that was a
then-
little different. They tried
yeah.
something different, but then they were like, it's different.
Yeah.
Move on.
yeah.
Instead of
There-
really working on that.
Get back to what we know.
yeah, there was a couple ass blasters in it.
Oh, God, I
that-
hate those things.
yeah,
I hate those things. That's the one
And
thing I
so,
didn't
yeah.
like about the series, and I think why it
Yeah.
turned me off is that they just didn't stick with the worm monsters.
Yeah.
They started making them into flying bat creatures
Yeah.
called ass blasters.
yeah. Well, this one they have to catch one and contain it. For Michael Gross's character needs I don't know, placebos or something from a thing or something. So yeah, they have to capture one, and
Okay.
which a lot of comedy ensues from that. As well.
Okay.
So.
Was it pretty bad though?
I wouldn't say it wasn't bad. It just for me, some of that stuff's over the top. And,
Right.
and like Michael Gross's character, I like him, but after a while, it's a little much. And Jamie Kennedy, to me, I just look at him. I hope he's not listening.
Jamie, plug your ears.
Yeah, he drives me crazy a little bit.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for the girl that had to kiss him at the end. I thought, she really worked for her. But other than that, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I guess, but no, it's okay. I mean, if you like Tremors, I think, or if you're a Tremors fan, you might enjoy it. I just,
Right.
some of it's. The acting was good. It was shot well, and it's just a lot of comedy in this one. A lot of comedy.
Yeah, it was. I tortured you with it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what else to. We were just going to hang out while we were waiting for Angio to get something done. I thought, well, we'll just throw this in and see what it's about. Then I stranded you with it. I stranded you with it on a deserted island with nothing but Tremors. A Cold Day in Hell to watch. So, but that's pretty much all that we actually got to do besides sit around and BS.
Yeah, and
Which is
rock
good.
and roll. We rock and rolled.
That's
and,
right.
Yeah.
Listen to owls hoot
Yes.
and
Good dinners,
coyotes.
and it's been nice. Yeah, it's been nice here, Timo. It's been a lot of fun to get to hang out with Danny and you and Angie and stuff. And
I'm never
Chance
leaving.
and Corey. And, Yeah.
We'll never know.
Danny and I have taken up stakes on it.
Yeah.
I did want to tell you this, but I'm never
Putting
leaving.
down stakes. Yeah.
He's been taking a lot of awakes between his naps.
I have.
Yeah.
I have. You know, I've reached a point in my life where I don't give a shit. I used to, this is a standing joke here, that I would pencil myself in for a nap.
Yeah.
Well, now Tim says I'm penciling myself in for awakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I love napping.
Yeah.
I love it. Honestly, this is serious now. I seriously thought about writing a book about the perfect nap and what it would entail. And, everybody would have a different one.
Right.
And for me, there's many different types of the perfect nap. I just love taking naps.
Danny's never going to die.
No.
It's actually going to be like a 40-year process where the naps just keep taking over the awakes.
Right, yeah.
And then someday somebody like, he's been there for 2 months.
Spoke a lot
Yeah,
lately.
right. Yeah, I don't think he needs a diaper. I just think he's gone. I think he's gone.
Hold his mirror in front of his mouth. See if he's breathing.
Yeah.
Well, he's not breathing, but his eyes are still moving. I don't know what the hell's going on. So, but
I'm going to take an awake.
well, the other big thing that we've kind of overshadowed here, and it's bad for me. I have a hard time with this because I have a low ego on some of this stuff, but we did release another record that we worked on for only about 4 years.
Yes, we did, by golly, and it's wonderful. It's my favorite. This is our fourth, right?
It is our fourth, and this is the Timo and Danny Hicks Brain Invasion featuring Cian Baird. And this is And Off Came His Head. So it's out.
Yeah, it's out.
It's out.
Yeah. So if you're a CD collector, you're going to have to come find one of us. That's all there is to it. If you're a digital download collector, which 99.98% of the rest of the world is, you can find it. You go on Amazon or go on iTunes or anywhere you download your digital music, and you can, for a paltry sum, download our record, and we will transfer that money into cocaine for ourselves. This is how the music business works. Okay,
now, actually, we're going to use that money to have my head put back on.
That's true. Yeah,
we got to fix Danny first.
My head came off.
Yeah.
And, for you guys that are listening, and you can tell how horrible my voice is. That is the result of having my head professionally removed and put back on.
Yes.
Well,
Danny had a broken neck for only about 20 years.
Yeah, more than that.
And so they had to reestablish a spinal column up there close to his cranium.
And now I have more metal in my neck than I do in my car.
Yeah, and that was a tough surgery. He's lucky that he can speak.
True.
At this point. So we have other ideas, though. We have other ideas about maybe some music videos that have been left untapped, and then there's had the idea of doing a commentary track over a record.
That'd be fun. I think we'd like to. But let's face it, my singing career is over.
Well, my singing career should have never started.
Nonsense! You got a wonderful voice. I love your voice.
Well, I've lost it somewhere back at the old house, so we'll have to,
we'll
go back there and find it. I don't want to go. I did have dreams that I went back into our old house to use the bathroom.
Really?
I admit that. And they weren't there when I got there. For some reason, I got there to check, say, how's the house doing and stuff. And I gotta go. So, of course, I know how to get in. Right. Yeah. So I get in there and I'm taking a pee. And I remember it was even in the master bedroom bathroom where I'm used to it, and I hear the garage door open. I'm like, uh-oh, and then I come out adjusting my pants. And the people come in. I don't even know what they look like. The people come in. So in my mind, they look, I don't want to explain what they look like. We just watched The Land of Oz last night. Sort of like that. That. And they're like, and they look at me, and I'm like, this is kind of awkward. I just really had to go. And then I wake up. So
that's awesome.
And you peed all over the bed.
It's good to wake up from these things. So Danny likes naps. I like awakes because I get out of that world. I'm no good in that world. So
I thrive.
Danny's pretty good at that.
So, but we're gonna play a tune. We played the song last week. I do believe we played "Heart Full of Rust" last week. Is that correct?
Yes,
okay. So this week we are going to play "One Day."
Okay.
Song off of the new record, and
also known as "Sweet Danny Dreams."
Sweet Danny Dreams. Yes.
This is for Maureen. Yeah.
Right. This is for Danny's friend Maureen up in the Detroit area. Ben Harley.
DET.
That's right. So Ben Harley could throw a paper airplane. It could probably land in her ear from where he is. So This is for Danny's good friend, Maureen, who I have spoken on the phone whenever Danny was in the hospital, making sure he was okay. So hello, Maureen. And this one's for you. It is One Day by the Timo and Harley.
I am playing tambourine on this one.
Yeah, that's true. By Timo and Danny Hicks, Brain Invasion, featuring Syrian Baird. Right here on the Timo and Harley Show.
Kick ass.
Someday
All right, Ben Harley and Danny
Yes.
Hicks.
Tim O.
I love
and
that
Danny O.
You know, the first
And
time I
so
heard
Danny O.
that song in its complete form, we were back at the old place, and you put it all together and played it on the big speakers and everything else. And I was just amazed what you did with it, Tim. That was just incredible.
Well, it was one of those songs where I heard guitar parts.
Yeah.
And most of the time I hear guitar parts and go, that's great. I'm going to go get high and watch a movie now because that takes effort.
Yeah.
Not this time I couldn't help it. This time I couldn't help it. I'm like, oh, damn it. Man, I really hear some cool shit there. God, for the love of everything.
Right.
So I sat down and actually put some leads and made it more musical.
Oh, yeah. It's I hate this word, but it's almost epic. You know, it's got those epic moments in it. It's just wonderful, man. You did such a good job.
It feels big.
Yeah.
The chord progressions felt big, so kind of made it a little bit more big, like a fountain. Everyone can see what I'm doing right now,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
a fountain.
And Tim, I'd like to embarrass you for a second, if that's
Okay.
all right. Thank you very much for letting me do this, because without you, I would have never have ever done any music. You know, and now, I mean, with our fourth album out there, you gave me that opportunity, and thank you. I mean, rock and roll was my first love, way before music, way before movies.
Yeah.
I just love music, and I never had the chance to actually do anything with it until I met you at one of the conventions, and we got to talking about it. And then you wrote the Ballad of Jake and Bobby Joe,
Yes.
and invited me to come and sing, and we got together and we made some damn good music, man.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and
I
thank
mean
you
that.
because you've invited me into your world a bit, so I got to experience some of what you do as well.
Well, thanks,
So
man.
it was kind of, I think, a very much of a give and take. And
One more thing that I have to be thankful for when it comes to Evil Dead 2,
That's right.
because it opened up a whole world for me.
Yeah.
You know what, and honestly, Danny, I think I've told you this before. If you remembered mostly for that, congratulations.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, congratulations. It was like the guy in the movie, the Bigfoot movie we were watching, who looked just like James Brolin.
Yeah.
Couldn't act worth a shit, but he looked just like James Brolin. And what did I do? Congratulations. Because if you look like James Brolin, you're probably having an easier time in life than, if you look like Steve Buscemi.
Right. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Throwing that out there, just to let you know. But Danny, it was a high praise indeed, and thank you. And it's been an honor to have you on this show.
Yeah.
Over the years, it's not gonna be the last time. Not gonna be the last time because I've got your naps to awake ratio going. We still got a few years. I think we're doing all right still.
hurry up. No, I love doing this show with you guys. I'll do it anytime I can. So
Thank you,
I really
Danny. We
enjoyed it.
appreciate that. But I think you guys too, like the albums you guys have put out have progressively gotten better. But I think
so.
you guys have it's a good sound and style too that you guys have, and I enjoy them. They're fun records. They're fun.
thanks.
Listen to me, records. They're fun records. When you
I'll put them on vinyl.
when you put it on vinyl, let me know.
I'm not beyond that at all. I'd love to put
yeah.
those on vinyl. I think it'd be cool as shit to have those on vinyl.
But yeah, they're a lot of fun to listen to, and they're good. They're good songs.
Well, you
and
could
Danny,
get-
you're a hell of a singer.
Well, thank you. I never thought of myself as a singer. I thought was with Tim O, the whole endeavor, was
Yeah.
more of a lyricist.
Yeah, I think it all fits really well together.
And if you go to Sweden, I understand you can get one of our songs on cassette tape.
One's sitting right back there. I keep forgetting about it. Yeah, we are on is either Sweden or Switzerland.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of the SWA countries with lots of white people.
You guys shot up the charts to number 2, 3?
We might have. I think that is a limited edition cassette tape, and I think people were going kind of cuckoo
Really?
over it over there. So it's
When are we flying over there and to put on a gig,
Right now.
I got my roadie chops in this weekend. I'm ready to go.
Right. So, but and Ian Baird too. Let's not forget about Sir Ian Baird.
Oh, yeah.
Huge part of it. Huge part of it. He drums.
Yeah.
First and foremost, because I did play drums on Jake and Bobby Joe the first time, and Ian said, you want people to listen to this, right? I want you to have somebody really play on. I was like, all right, and then helping with the mix. This album, I had to hand it over to him. I had a mix. It was okay, but man, there were certain parts. We recorded it in rooms we weren't used to. I am not the mixologist that he is. So I worked on it forever.
You do pretty good with the great babe.
Well, I do that. That's true. So I got that going for me. But anyway, folks, please pick this up and then go back. If you go to I never talk about our website, so here we go. If you go to the TimoandHarleyShow.com, you can go to, there is a music page, and in that music page, there are players. This is reminding me I have not updated that player to represent that we do have a new record out, but you can get the other ones as well. You can get my personal records or the Brain Invasion records. You can listen to them. If you would like to buy them, I would appreciate that, and we all would, just to support.
I will go so far as to say, if you do not like this latest album, Ben Harley will give your money back.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. I'm fully behind it.
It's the Harley guarantee.
That's right.
Tried and true for many months. There we go.
You get a T-shirt.
Well, we got something special here.
It might be used.
That's right. We've got something special here, and we've had the pleasure, and I know I personally have had the pleasure of watching some films with Mr. Senor Danny Hicks, movies that he has been in. Okay, so there was a couple stones we have left unturned here on the show, and we might have reviewed this a long time ago, but there's brain cells are going all over the place in the show.
401 shows.
That's right. So we got a movie here, Maniac Cop. Yeah, Maniac Cop. So we decided, since Danny was here and Harley's here, that we're going to watch Maniac Cop together, discuss it, and then Danny can tell us what idiots we are, because that's not how it went. This is how it went. I was there, dead damn it. Yeah. So let me get out Movie Guy for you guys here, so I can read a little synopsis for Maniac Cop.
I haven't got to see Movie Guy in a long time. So.
He looks a lot like me, except
right
much better looking.
He's right there.
Much better looking. So what year was this movie? This was 88.
88.
88, actually. So
Yeah, I graduated at old high school.
All right. From 1988, we have Maniac Cop. Here comes Movie Guy with the storyline plot synopsis here. All right, here we go. Innocent people are brutally killed on the streets of New York by a uniformed police officer. A young cop, Jack Forrest, Bruce Campbell, TV's Burn Notice, and the Evil Dead trilogy, finds himself marked as the chief suspect after his wife is murdered. As Lieutenant Frank McRae, Tom Atkins, Drive Angry, and Lethal Weapon. I didn't know he was in Drive Angry. I've got that on Blu-ray. I've never watched it.
Go figure.
Maybe I'll watch it. I got Movie Guys sitting there going, my time.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Waiting.
All right. As Lieutenant Frank McRae investigates, the death toll rises, and he suspects a mysterious police cover-up. This maniac cop must be stopped, but it might not be so easy. He seems inhuman and ready to take on the entire police force, hell-bent on revenge. All right, so that's it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Good job, Movie Guys. Good to see you.
Thanks. I'm out of here.
The end.
Yes. This movie is, it is a movie that was made by a Mr. William Lustig. I always remember him from Uncle Sam. Remember the movie Uncle Sam, where a monster Uncle Sam with the big hat and the beard thing goes around killing people in like a small town? Yeah, I always remember that. But so William Lustig directed this. It does have Tom Atkins and Bruce Campbell in dual leading man roles in a way. Yeah. They both got their own thing going on here. And this was right after Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Right, Danny Hicks?
Yep.
Okay, so right after that. And now, in fairness, Bruce Campbell has been on record saying that he took the movie for the job and didn't think it was so good. And I'm like, well, Bruce, it's not the first or last time you might have done something like that, is it? Now, this one, on the other hand, it's not a Bruce Campbell movie.
No, not really.
A lot of movies that Bruce is in, it centers around him. This is not that. He's actually fairly low key.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
In this, which, as a movie reviewer, it looks to me like he's getting his sea legs.
Yeah.
On doing something different besides Ash.
Right.
In a way. Some of it's good. Some of it's a little uncomfortable. A lot better job than I would do. Say that much. I'd look much better doing it, but just let you know.
Well, one of the things that is, he's known as the Chin.
The Chin.
Well, try to keep up with Robert Zadar.
Yeah.
Come on. He's going to come in second place every time.
Right.
He got out-chinned.
That's right. So, yes, and the wonderful man, Robert Zadar. I do like Robert. Yeah. He's a very nice guy. Or he was a nice fellow. Rest in peace. And perfect for this role.
Yeah.
Perfect for this role. You got a lot of face to work with, for the effects guys. But yeah, he's a cop that gets thrown in jail, and not a great place for a cop to go to begin with, especially one as tough and brawly as he was. And he gets almost murdered. Yeah. Almost murdered to the point where they think he's dead. And somehow the guy that's going to do the autopsy on him realizes that he's not totally dead, but he thinks he's kind of in a vegetative state, I think.
Yeah.
So he kind of fixes him up and sends him off with...
While telling everyone he's dead.
Yes, right, exactly.
Signs a death certificate.
Yes. And so, but he's not dead. He's got a really nice uniform and he sleeps in a warehouse.
And he's pissed off.
He's pissed off and just goes around and just kills whoever the fuck.
And his wounds won't heal. So
they won't heal.
Kind of bloody and...
Yeah, that's right.
I'm mad. I'd be mad too.
It's a slasher movie. It's a slasher movie with a slasher is a cop. Yeah. That's the twist on it.
But he's not just taking care of the bad guys. He's actually really taking out innocent people as well.
Yeah, I think he kind of figures, well, your bad guy's going to hide from me. These guys, they'll stand right there while I kill them, so I'll kill them. It'll be much easier.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. So do Ben Harley. So we watched this all together, actually. So Ben Harley, let's start with you. And when's the last? I know you've seen this.
Just actually recently, probably within the last 2 years. Dan, my good friend Daniel Hicks. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah. He gave me a nice autographed copy of Maniac Cop on Blu-ray.
Nice.
Yeah. Yes, you did, sir.
Well, I'm very gracious.
You might not have been looking when I said you gave it to me.
You might have just stolen it. Is that what you're saying?
It's like I can fake Danny's signature. Come on, look at this. I got a couple of them. I got a light table. I got a light table, and
I'm glad I did that.
Yeah, no, it was very nice of you, Danny. So I'd watched that, and it'd been a few years, I think, since we'd reviewed it, Timo, and so it was kind of good to go back and watch it. And the Blu-ray looks great. It looks fantastic.
Yes, Synapse. Jerry from Synapse, and Don and Jerry put it out.
Yeah. They did a very good job. Now, I never really into the Maniac Cop, the whole series of movies, but I did remember this one a lot from when I was younger, and I enjoy it. And Robert Zadar always he's freaked me out for a long time, so he's perfect for it. You know what I mean? Like I believe it, and I did kind of like the fact in this film though that he was going after innocent people because it made it much more scary. Because he'd have been a hero to most people if he was.
He didn't have any dialogue in this movie, did he?
That's what I liked.
Yeah,
that's what I like. Okay. I don't, and Ben, he'll back me on this. I don't like when my slasher
talks to him.
Shut up, slasher. I'm just not a Freddy Krueger guy.
Slash, damn it. Don't talk.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up and just do your thing. I can't think of one I like like that. I just don't. Shut up. It's like the bear from Prophecy talking. You think you don't like it or like it? Well, if he was a smart ass bear, then you'd really hate it. I kind of think the movie. I'm not going to say much. I'm going to get to Danny. I know everybody's waiting to hear what Danny, because he was actually there when they were filming it. But this movie to me doesn't hold up the way it did when I saw it the first time I saw it. I find it to be a pretty enjoyable horror film that had some fun to it. And not all of the horror elements hold up, but the fun part kind of does hold up. And it's kind of fun to see it. And it's not a slow movie or anything. And there's enough things going on in it that make it a little different. Yeah. It's not just a boring one story thing going through it. And you never know who's going to live and die.
Right.
That's kind of interesting too. It's not here's the thing. It's not a bunch of good looking teenagers getting picked off one by one. It's not one of those movies. So, well, Danny Hicks, how was your experience on the film? Now you played a SWAT leader?
A squad leader.
Squad leader. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And you beat the shit out of Bruce.
I beat the shit out of Bruce once again.
Typecasted.
Yeah. In fact, I whammed him into the side of that police van so hard I thought it killed him. And Bill Lustig walks over and says, "Can you do it again a little harder?" I said, "Okie doke." And excuse me. To be fair, I don't know which take we watched in that, because I watched it last night. It didn't seem like I threw him into that thing very hard. Mm-hmm. But there were times when his head bounced off the damn thing. I thought, man, that really hurt. But, Bruce being Bruce is, you can't hurt the bastard anyway. So, of course, nowadays he's saying, I'm going to take it a little easier. I remember that time when Hicks slammed me into that thing. Now I'm starting to feel that.
It's going back to haunt me.
Yeah, so it was fun. It was brutally hot the day we shot this. And we shot it in downtown Los Angeles, even though it's supposed to be New York City.
Right.
It was interesting. It was actually the first job I got after I moved to California. I'd been there for almost exactly 1 year.
Yeah.
And this was my first role. So that I was very happy about. But it was a fun little shoot. They damn near killed us with the heat. And then after we were done shooting, I went in my dressing room and just took everything off. The body armor fell to the floor and everything else. And I'm standing there in front of the air conditioning units and pouring cold water all over myself. And I just assumed that the guys who were with me went back into their trailers or dressing rooms or whatever. And they didn't. They were laying on the sidewalk outside of my trailer.
Gasping for air.
Yeah. And I thought, all these poor bastards. So I kind of got a little bit of trouble because I invited them into my dressing room and gave them all water and told the PAs to go get water for them and stuff. And I don't think they cared for that too much.
Not real PC giving people water,
Yeah.
Danny. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Fuck them. I mean, they were just as
This
hot
ain't
as I
Detroit.
was.
This is LA. You don't keep giving out free water.
Okay. Those guys they worked just as hard as I did. And They were
Right.
just as hot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure they were taken care
So
of.
was that a bit of what was that like? So you did Evil Dead 2. This was your first gig in LA after Maniac Cop. Did you think it would take a year was that a process of
I was in the process
realization?
of just pounding the bricks.
Yeah.
I just going out there and looking for work. And I wasn't used to that. I mean, in Detroit, I worked any time I wanted to work. I mean, if I wanted a job, all I had to do is say, hey, give me a job. And, because I worked 5 days a week, doing radio commercials or television shows or whatever. I was constantly busy. In fact, it was kind of interesting to the point when I think we were shooting Darkman. Nobody there knew how to park a car on film because they'd never done it before.
Right.
I did so many industrial films that I learned all that shit. I'd done hundreds of industrial films.
For GM?
Well, for all of them. It didn't matter. GM, Ford, Chevy, whatever. Whenever in Detroit, whenever they would change a bumper mount on a car or something, they would shoot a film saying this is the right way to do it. So I was on camera working all the time, and I did a lot of driving for Merritt's Communication. I met Tim Allen doing that. We were both driving for them. So by the time an average Detroiter got out to Hollywood, you just had a tremendous amount of film experience that most people in Hollywood had never done. I mean, this is my second feature film, but I'd probably done 200 industrial films. So I knew how to work with the camera.
Nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah.
The craft.
Yeah. I knew how to do all that stuff.
Right.
How to spot a car and that stuff. So it was interesting.
Well, he didn't just have his pretty face to go on.
No,
he was
he had
armed
other
with a
things,
lot of other things too.
Thank God.
Right? Yeah. Well,
the sense
I
of
don't
humor.
think it was super easy, and I don't know this from any firsthand or any fourth-hand experience, but just knowing movies. Bruce Campbell wasn't in a ton of movies right then either. I mean, and Sam didn't do a bunch of movies either. So I gotta think it was a building period of getting more and more things under your belt.
Yeah, it's a big jump. It's a big hump to hump out there when you go from a little town like Detroit to Hollywood. I mean, there's a gazillion Danny Hickses in Hollywood. There always have been, there always will be. But here's something that's very interesting about this movie. During the wrap party, Bruce Campbell had to leave early because he was working as a security guard at the Budweiser factory.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he had to actually leave to get to work on time because he's working the midnight shift.
And then it also said that, and you alluded to this. I honestly looked on IMDb and saw this little trivia thing that, of course, Sam Raimi does a cameo.
Yeah.
Right.
Your pal Sam Raimi does a cameo. I'm sure that had everything to do with you guys being there and stuff, and knowing the director and all that. But he apparently shot some of that the parade scene, the police parade, the St. Patrick's Day, and they used that footage to get the money to finish the film.
Wow.
And there were some shots of a parade, with cops going down, and then he was in that too. How many days were you there on that?
I was just there for 1 day.
For 1 day?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a long day. It was probably 14 hours or something, but it was a long day.
Right, right.
And I think they used that whole thing with Sam. I think Sam was actually living in Manhattan at the time.
Okay.
So I think Bill just called him up and said, hey, go out there and pretend you're a reporter because I want to do a movie or something like that. So,
Right.
of course, none of us were rich back in those days, so a buck went a long way.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw Sam pop up in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
He's done a lot. He's not a bad actor. Actually, Sam's a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's a testament to your acting, Danny, that you stole his role in Evil Dead 2 because he was going to play Jake. Isn't that correct?
Play Jake, yeah.
Okay.
They had auditioned the show. They had auditioned the movie in both New York and Los Angeles, and they couldn't find anybody that was right. So they just happened to be back in Detroit, and they said, "Well, we can't find a Jake. Let's audition it one more time."
Hey, we were talking about that. And I looked over at Harley and said, Sam and Bruce looked at each other and went, "We didn't even write the guy that dirty."
Probably not. The caption for the character description was Scuzz Buckhead. So I walked in. I says, "How scuzzy you want this guy?" And Sam says, "Scuzzy as you can make him." So I popped out my little flipper teeth and I said, "You want him this scuzzy?" And he said, I never forget, Sam told me this later. He said, "My God, an actor without an ego. What do we do with this guy?"
But I think it's very cool too that even I know you got to know them on that shoot because sometimes Danny will tell people that I didn't know those guys and then I went and auditioned. But I think what people don't understand is followed up to that, you became good friends with them and worked with them and their crew a lot. One of their stable of guys that they trusted,
right?
And depended on that. That to me, I know how that feels playing music.
Yeah,
right. We just needed Mark Denizak to sit in for the Ultraman show. And I think that's a high praise to say,
especially with Sam. He's just a great guy, and he doesn't forget the people that got him where he is.
Right.
And so
that's awesome.
When he's got some kind of gig going and there's something for me to do, he calls me.
Right.
And I go.
Right. And that Maniac Cop, you guys, three of you guys were there.
Yeah.
At least. I don't know who else was. I'm sure people were behind the scenes who you knew.
Well, I didn't know Bill Lustig. I still don't know Bill. I met him a couple times, and I say, in fact, he was on Darkman. He was an extra in Darkman.
Oh, okay.
And they put a big squib on his head and detonated that thing, and he dropped like a sack of wet wheat.
God, I hope they used it.
I don't think they did. I don't think it's in
there. Poor son of a bitch. Yeah.
But those guys do that. Quentin Tarantino was an extra on Darkman.
Darkman is another thing, and I'm kind of swinging it back toward the movie that we're supposed to be talking about here, Maniac Cop. Yeah, but this is one of the fun films from that era, and I don't gravitate toward films after 84. There's a couple after it that I do, but there's this little group of films, Reanimator, Evil Dead 2, and things that were different enough and zany enough. And I do admit, and I've said it to Harley, and I've said it to Danny, I don't like what you guys' movies did to other movies.
Right.
I don't like when the movies are trying to imitate, because then it became like, oh God, stop. They already made Evil Dead 2. They already made Reanimator. I think Reanimator 2, or Reanimator and Evil Dead 2 are almost companion.
Yeah.
Tone, comedy, gore, kitchen sink. There's a piece of wood laying there. It's going to be a monster. And I enjoy them. And Maniac Cop to me was a little more subdued, but it just took me in because from the first scene.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, when I saw the first time, I wasn't terrified, but it entertained me. Yeah. And I enjoyed it. And I was like, that's a good one.
Well, I have to tell you this. I'd never seen this movie before.
Really? So that's the first time?
I'd seen my little bits of it because, I don't know if over the years taking headshots out of it or whatever, but that's the first time I've ever seen a movie.
Okay. What'd you think?
I think Lustig should have had his ass kicked.
Here we go.
All right, Ben, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Well, it started out a little slow.
Thank you.
I want to talk real quick to the audience. We didn't get through the credits. All right. Danny got up to go get some grape ape or do something. And Ben looked like he was becoming an Oriental gentleman. He was his eyes were becoming like heavy while he was joking about movies getting slow. And I go, Ben, we are 2 minutes and 40 seconds into the film. They just said, who the producers were. Okay,
I think my comment is, can't we get the list at the end, right? We get the credits at the end. Why do we have to have them at the beginning, right? I mean,
but no, I think Bill. What really bothered me the most about this movie, usually it's my performance in a movie that really kills the movie for me. No. This one, I'm in it for such a short period of time. I can't really get down on the movie for that, But
you did your job.
The movie was lazy. The directing was very lazy. I mean, there were so many things that I watched that made the movie clumsy that another take would have fixed that up. Stupid things like two actors going for the door at the same time, so they bump into each other and they go, "No, you after you," and that's when you stop back and you say, "Do it again this time. I want you to go out the door first. You hold the door. You fix all that shit, and then you shoot it again."
Right.
They didn't fix all that shit. They just banged into each other, and it's very awkward. It's a very clumsy movie.
Yeah.
And that bothered me. Other than that, I kind of liked the movie. And William Smith. Man, I got to tell you, when I was a kid, he was, well, maybe not a kid, I can't remember. There was a television show called The Texas Rangers, and he played one of the co-stars in it. And I just idolized that guy. I thought he was just great. And you know what? I was right. He was really. And when I met him while working on this show, I just thought, God, that's William Smith. That's William. No, call me Bill Smith. And that was really cool to actually get to meet him and work on a movie that he was into.
I was just going to say it was a great cast.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great cast.
Sheree North, Laureen Landon, Richard Roundtree.
Yeah,
Tom Atkins, Bruce. It was a really good cast actually and the other films have good cast too. In the series. Now I'm a little foggier. The second one I remember a lot. The third one I'm a little more foggy on. The third one I think has Leo Rossi in it. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me, but I think it does. But I enjoyed all three of them, and they were all three a little different.
Yeah.
With them, but they were Robert Dazar. It was his character going through the whole thing, and I kind of enjoyed them. I thought they were okay. This is one a good one. I mean, to me, it is. It's one of the good ones. I think it's kind of fun. I don't disagree with it slows down a little bit. I don't disagree with it's clumsy. But I mean, we're guys that love the movie Chud.
Right.
I mean, that movie trips over itself all the time. Yeah. It's fun though.
Right.
It's enjoyable.
Well, the time when this came out too, though, they were talking about falling over themselves to make a new serial killers, and this, for me, I guess the fact of him being a cop made it a little bit better because, like they said in the movie too, like people trust him. If it's a cop, he'll follow you down a dark alley because they trust you. You're the police, and I think that's what made it good. With that character, and I do totally agree with Danny. There are some clumsy things because there's some really nice things, and it's alongside some stuff that looks maybe underproduced. And I don't know. But
it might very well have been that they didn't have the money to do another take, but I don't think so because I can tell by watching this that was the first and only take that they did on that. I mean, because you fix that kind of stuff, And I don't think Mr. Lustig was. I don't think he was paying enough attention to the movie.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah, and I get really like with the more slasher films that came out, they got more and more over the top, more and more bizarre, and the characters did too. And like Tim will explain too, talking too much and talking.
Yeah.
And the fact that he didn't talk made it a little more ominous, and I did like that. The ending for me was a little that stunt at the end was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great stunt.
Unbelievable, fun looking stunt. I mean, I wouldn't want to have done it.
I want to see somebody else die.
Yeah, I don't want to look like a rag doll like that. But
you would hate to hear these words. All right, let's set up for the retake. On that one, you get it right the
I'd
first
have swam
time.
away.
You get it right the first time. You don't do another take on that.
He would have swam upon a shark.
Right. Yeah. But I think overall it's not my favorite of the slasher films, but I do think it's fun, and I've enjoyed watching it over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed watching it with Danny and stuff too, and then hearing some more behind the scenes things. So it was enjoyable, and I think it looks good. It's a good transfer, and
right.
Yeah. So
yeah, and I agree. It's not my favorite either, but I enjoyed it. I said it last night and enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it any more or less than I did before, and I was kind of happy that not all of it got thin with me.
And it's not all just horror in there too. There's some cool little twists and some cop drama stuff, And I was surprised. I'm gonna give away something here, but that Tom Atkins died in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at the time that he did, I thought, watching it, or we were watching it when Danny gave me the Blu-ray, I thought, wow, I completely forgot about that.
Right.
And that's a big deal because he was a big part of that movie.
Right.
And he died early, not real early on, but early enough, I guess.
I think they might have missed on something that was kind of cool, which the public didn't trust cops anymore.
Yeah.
And they had that one scene where the cop pulls the lady, or her car won't start. So a cop, clearly it's not the Maniac Cop. I mean, the way they shoot it, they try to make it suspenseful, but right away it's not him. But he comes up to the window and she shoots him in the head with her gun. And there's a little bit of that. I just thought that was kind of cool. They could have pushed that a little harder. Yeah. Maybe did some protests outside, like bigger ones and things, But who am I? I couldn't have even made the Maniac Cop you saw yesterday. So, but I'm gonna give Maniac Cop a great bait, Bob. It has nothing to do with Danny sitting, and we all know it. Yeah. It has nothing to do with Danny sitting here, nothing like that. I be honest with you, there was a long period of time between when it came out on VHS and I rented it, or on HBO or Cinemax, whatever I saw it on, and to the time I saw it again later in life when it came out on DVD, because I did get it when it came out on DVD. I even forgot Bruce Campbell was in it. Yeah. I just remember the cop.
I forgot I was in it.
I did see a scene you were in. It was a long shot where Laureen Landon is walking into the police station and you were right there at the door. I know it was you.
Yeah.
Probably I'm used to finding you in crowds now. So like at a show or something, so it's like, where's Danny? I'm at goddamn dance floor again. Don't tell him that's a guy. Yeah. And then, so I could see, so there's a little bit more. And actually here on the disc, we might have to look at this because I just saw on the Blu-ray that was so well put together by our buddies Don and Jerry that there's additional scenes filmed for Japanese television.
Whoa!
So maybe Danny, that's the thing you were doing when you said, "Oh, the monster." Maybe it was that. Who knows? It wasn't Ultraman.
No, it was Ultraman. It probably just ended up where most of my career did, on the cutting room floor.
Well, you're lucky you were even on celluloid. There's a lot of actors that would kill to have your career. So.
I'm not complaining. I'm very grateful to every single success I've had as an actor.
Yes, well, that's good. You should be.
Oh, I am.
You should be proud.
Definitely am. I'm very, very, very thankful.
If you can get a table at a show and they pay you to be there and sign autographs for people, and people are got the tremble hand, when they're meeting you, that's a wonderful thing.
I thank my lucky stars, baby. I really do. I'm very thankful for it.
And we're very thankful to have you here, Danny. And well, Ben, let's get. What are you going to get? What are you going to get?
I'm going to give it.
Oh boy.
A lukewarm great bait. Because there are things I like about it. I think the acting is really good in it. And I like Robert Zadar's character because at this point in time, the slasher stuff was too much. Mm-hmm. Too much. And I like that genre, but it was too much. And this has something a little different than what they were doing at the time.
It's like it has water wings.
It does, yeah.
It's not sinking because it's got enough good in it where it holds up. But it's not as good as it was when it came out.
Right. And it's one that I might not watch it for a few more years, but it's one that I might revisit again. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I enjoyed it sitting with Danny and hearing the stories too. But overall, it's just a very mild, lukewarm great bait.
Danny?
First of all, I think I mispronounced Robert's name. I think when I said it the first time, I said
it's Zadar.
Zadar.
Yeah,
okay.
It's Zadar. We say it wrong all the time.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a tepid grape ape up. So that's even a little bit below lukewarm.
Yeah. Right.
I had a lot of problems with the movie, but it's not the movie's fault. And it was just lazy filmmaking.
Yeah.
So I'd still recommend it.
This is one that 20 years from now, if I'm lucky enough to be here, I'll be going back like I go back and watch the old robots with lasers coming in their eyes, the old black and white matinee movies too, though, because there's enough there to be enjoyable. It's not overly brutal.
Yeah.
And I get tired of that because it used to be like violent knives real quick and stuff. And now like a slasher gets a hold of somebody and doesn't let go of them for 10 minutes, just pulls pieces off of them, and pokes at them. It's like, oh, for God's sake, stop it.
Just kill that guy.
Yeah, the only suspense here is when are you going to yell cut? I mean, that's really the only suspense here.
I hate to say this, Tim, because they are listening to us, but this is a movie that you probably could remake and probably would be remade.
I can see this being remade,
especially nowadays with all the,
I can absolutely see this being remade.
I could see it being remade.
Yeah.
It was a pretty successful series of films. I mean, so I could, and Dan, you've been lucky. You have been in, even if they were like in a role like that, like you were in Wishmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wishmaster. I mean, that was a pretty successful, and Wishmaster's a good movie.
Yeah.
That's another movie out of that era. It seems like you were in a lot of the ones somehow that I liked.
buddy.
Or under the ones.
But I didn't expect to like Wishmaster when I saw it. It was a horror movie. Fuck, here we go. What do I got this week? Oh boy, a genie now. Great. And popping in like, hey, this wasn't written too bad.
Yeah.
It kind of kept me into the story. And I thought Maniac Cop was kind of like that. I was like, oh God, Jesus. The guy's got white gloves on. I'm not going to deal with this. That's my Woody Woodpecker stand thing. You know, it's like, I don't, but I did. I liked it. It surprised me. I didn't expect to like it and liked it. And with Maniac Cop, I think it was the same thing. So I'm giving it the warmest great tape up, and I ain't lying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find poke holes in it, but I can't. It's fun. I explained this to Danny earlier during his visit that if it's fun, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. If the movie's not taking itself too seriously and it's fun, I'm in. If the movie's going to take itself seriously, it better be pretty damn good.
Yeah, then it's not a movie anymore. It's a sermon.
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
If you want a sermon, go to church.
Right.
If you want to deliver a sermon, become a preacher, not a filmmaker.
Yeah, somebody tell a Dead Kennedy singer that.
Yeah. Oh,
I read it. So
we almost had a horror. Yeah, there was almost a horror show at the.
So great show. Could have done without social comedy or commentary.
Yeah.
I would say that about any show I was at. If it was Neil Young or Leonard Skinner, doesn't matter. I don't want to hear it. Rock out for me, baby. Rock out. It's like a friend said to me, we're all here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's understood. You don't need to say anything. We're all here, So, and we're all here in studio at the Dermal Ridge. We're still in the Raven's Nest, but the Raven's Nest is now in Dermal Ridge.
And we had a meal yesterday, just like we were on the Ponderosa. And Hopsing would have been proud.
That's right. So when Mr. Ben Harley is going to be cruising home later, we're going to be sad about that. Mr. Danny Hicks will be cruising home. Yeah, I'll be cruising home tomorrow. Never.
Yeah, that's right, Danny.
It'll look like the guy from the Land from Oz. He'll have like these big bug eyes with Danny's clothes on, and I'm driving him to the airport. He's not moving.
I'm dragging my feet outside of the car.
I'm calling Angie going, hey, either Danny had a really bad stroke or he put a paper mache version of himself with me. I can't tell. Go check upstairs real quick.
Well, is he awake? If he's awake, it's a stroke.
Yeah. Angie's like, no, Tim. He doesn't stay awake very long anymore. He's just sleeping. That's all. So. Well, that's what Jesus said to Lazarus too, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we enjoyed it. Enjoyed your company. Enjoyed your stay. I'm glad you're here.
And loved it, Timo. A lot of fun.
Once again, guys, thank you guys for letting me intrude on your private time.
You are the intruder.
You are the intruder.
Oh, I forgot that. That's right. But I really enjoy doing this stuff with you guys, and thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Danny. This is fun to do today, like this all together and everything. This is fun. And
it's nice being in the same room, Mr. Harley, because I can keep my eyes on you. You sneaky bastard. No, you're not sneaking up on me. I can
closer to you.
I can see you.
It is getting a little warm in here. So that's a fact. So, all right, guys, enjoyed it. Hicks season 2018. This is only the first part of Hicks season 2018. And since I said it, I have to make it happen.
That's right.
So we're going to have more Hicks seasons coming up. And this is the end of this one. And until the next Hicks season, until next week from Ben and I, stay spooky. And we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
Goodbye, guys. Thanks again.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.